Hello, work life warriors. I hope you're doing well. Today, I wanted to stop past and talk a little bit about guidance. Now, I know this video will be a little different and it may even upset some people, but my question is why do we listen to people who don't have what we want or not who we want to be, and overall, we do not enjoy? I learned a long time ago that I can consider people's advice and opinions around me without actually having to take them on and let them be a part of who I am. And so I think anyone is worth the consideration. If someone says something to you, they may be pointing out something that you can grow and develop from. It could be a blind spot, something that you don't see, blind spot, something you don't see of yourself, or in yourself or around yourself. And someone can be pointed out because a lot of people don't, for the most part, most people won't tell you about their self because about yourself because they benefit from it. We all know that we would rather not tell someone that they have spinach in their teeth because we don't know how they'll react. So if someone says something to you about something, it took a lot of courage to do that. It took a lot of courage for them to speak up and speak their truth to you. And so maybe it's worth the consideration. And so I believe anyone from a child to, an elder should be respected enough to be considered. But it doesn't mean that you have to take on their advice, their guidance. I would not do that unless one, it applied what they said was true and it applies and it will help you to improve or obtain whatever it is that you're trying to obtain. Then I would take it on. Or if they're already where you're trying to go, or they have they have the character or whatever it is that you're trying to gain, if they have it already, then be open to the advice. But I do not understand how people, for instance, if you are financially poor and you are seeking financial freedom, how can you be listening to people who do not have financial freedom? If you're seeking happiness, how can you take advice from people who are miserable? If you're seeking enlightenment, how can you take advice from people who are entrapped? And so I discovered early that a lot of us were taking advice from people that we didn't even want to be like, or if we weren't thrusted in their company, we would not choose to be around. And that includes, family and community. A lot of these situations you're kind of just born into, you're thrusted into, and you would not hang around a lot of people in your family that are considered close relatives. You would, if you met them on the street, you would not vibe with them, but because you're in the family, you're forced to be around them. And that could be a parent, and they could be telling you all types of advice that goes against your values and your integrity, and listening to them will turn you into them. How many people talk about breaking their cycles, the generational trauma, generational curse of their parents, of their great grandparents, of their grandparents, and then they wind up becoming that very thing. And that really comes down to them listening to the advice of the people who molded them into them. So your mom only has advice on how to be your mom. So what she's telling you is how she would show up in the world from her experience. But you are not her, and she has a different experience, so her advice may be limited. And if you show up and take her advice, then you are making the decisions that she made to be where she is today. And that is not to be shady to anyone, but people have to realize that a lot of times maybe your children are not making opposite decisions to spite you. It's just that they want to go a different way. They have a different destination, they have a different purpose, a different vision than what your vision was for them. And many times in life that is the case. You may come into a company with one vision, knowing what your strengths are, how you can help the company grow, but the leadership do not see you in that way, and so they do not treat you in that capacity. And so then you go on and take the advice of a manager or a leader or a supervisor that you don't respect, and you may or may not end up where they are. And if you want that, that's fine. But if that's not what you want, then their advice is limited to their experience, to the role that they're in. So if you're seeking their role, then they're the perfect mentor. If you're not seeking their role, and what they're saying after considering it is not something that is useful for your life, then throw it out. And you do not have to take the advice of people just because they have authority or power, or, seem to be more knowledgeable. You have to let the results speak for themselves. So if you're seeking peace and you're talking to a person who has peace, then listen. But if you're seeking peace and this person is not peaceful, let's say they're violent, then why would you listen to them? If you want to be rich, why are you listening to people who are not rich? If you want to be an explorer, why are you listening to teachers? If you want to be married, why are you listening to single people? So we really have to be careful about who we take our advice from and what experiences they have, and if they already have attained what it is that you want. Are they speaking from experiences, or are they speaking from what they think they know, even though they have not experienced it? And so a lot of us, we follow so many people because they look to have it together. They look like they know what they're talking about. They said it so eloquently, but really they don't have the type of life that you want, and taking in their advice can hold you back. It's better to authentically know what you value and what you want, and adjust and consider as other people are feeding you information, than for you to automatically blindly accept it, even though it may not be beneficial to your life. So again, be careful with accepting advice. Be careful with the guidance that you seek. Know for a fact that it's what you want, because the guidance that you seek or the information that you take in is where you're going. And who you take it from is the road that you replace. And breaking the cycle is more than just about the access to the information that you have. Sometimes you have to get access that's out of scope in order for you to make the decisions that's best for you, even though people around you may not understand. So please share. Do you understand what I'm saying? Or have you had times where you don't want to be disrespectful to the person that's giving you advice, but you don't want to be where they are? You don't want to be who they are. And so you decide to disregard it, not to be disrespectful. You have considered it, but it's just not valuable to you in your life, in the way you live your life, and the integrity that you have for yourself. And that's okay. Please share with me any experiences that you had like this, and how did it work out for you? And do you feel better in taking advice that helps you to get to where you need to go, more than just taking advice to, pacify someone's feelings, or to avoid conflict, or seen as a troublemaker or difficult? So please share below, and I hope that helps. Have a great day, work life warriors.